Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and today we're going to be discussing some Raid Shadow Legends and more specifically how I decide if I will be competing and trying to complete a fusion. Given this is a very relevant topic as we had the new Halloween fusion just announced earlier today, I won't go into her much. There's probably lots of content creators that have already made videos on it, I don't feel the need to go into it, but from my opinion, she looks pretty cool. She's of course very unique, which I like about the fusion. She's unique. I've never seen a champion with a kit similar, being so based around having a multiple of 3 included in a turn. I also think she could potentially be quite strong, maybe not broken, maybe not the best champion, but she looks interesting, she looks strong enough, and I like her character design. So that's my general thoughts and opinions, and of course we'll have to wait for playtesting because multipliers are so important on whether damage dealers are good and relevant. I obviously don't have access to the test server, so I can't do any of that, but keep an eye out for all the other content creators making videos when they get access to her, and then you can help that make your decision. So, moving on to how actually I decide if I'm going to go for a fusion. There's 3 main things I think that really impact my decision on whether I'm going to go for a fusion, because if you want to go for a fusion, you want to complete it, you don't want to get stuck and not finish it, because then it's just been a waste of resources at that time. So the first thing I like to do is, will I have time? I ask myself, do I have anything coming up over the next couple of weeks? Am I going to have any exams? Am I going to be really busy with work? Do I have lots of social events? Am I going away? I think these are all things you really need to consider, because you don't want to be doing the fusion, get halfway through, and then you have something come up in life which is more important than a game such as Raid Shadow Legends, but you've already poured a bunch of resources into trying to complete the fusion, and then those resources are wasted. So I think this is a really important one, because as I said earlier, this game shouldn't really take importance over anything else more important outside in real life, your job, your social life. I think those things are all more important to have. So really consider if you're going to have time, because again, you don't want to commit resources and not be able to finish the fusion. My second point is similar to this, but it's focusing on the game, and is, will I have the resources in game to complete this fusion? And this is of course similar to the first one. You don't want to be stuck halfway through the fusion and then you've suddenly run out of shards to do the summoning event, or you've run out of silver to do the gear enhancement, or you can't finish the dungeon divers because you've run out of energy and gems. So those are really the 4 main resources. You've got shards, you've got energy, you have silver, and you have gems. And gems are great because gems are a utility type resource. You can use them to get silver, not that it's really recommended, or you can use it to get silver in an indirect way by buying energy, doing dungeons in order to sell that gear for silver. So gems are great, and you can also buy ancient shards from the store with them, even though they're a bit overpriced. You can still do it. So gems are a great utility resource to have. I've got 13,000, I've got plenty. I like to stack them up and only really use those gems when I need them most. Maybe I need to do a bit of pushing for PRCVC, maybe there's a deck that I need to complete and I want to spend a lot of those gems doing the dungeon divers component. Maybe there's a path coming up such as Leo's, I want to save my gems for that. Or if I really need to finish off a dungeon divers, I'd like to have some of those spare gems. Silver for me has never really been a major issue. I just save all my enhancing for when the events are up. You get lots of silver from selling gear while running the dungeons. You also get lots of silver from actually just running the dungeons themselves. So, and you can also buy it from the clan shop. You get a small amount from rewards in game. So for me, never been a major issue. And then of course, energy is really the main component, because you've got to use that energy to complete your dungeon divers, to complete your champ training, to complete normal tournament events, being like Dragon, Ice Golem. So energy plays a really crucial factor. Of course, it's stored anywhere. They give it away a lot in-game with your tournament rewards, your event rewards, your dailies, your advanced quests. You can also get it from just those packs that they provide. I think you get it every 2 days. Here I've got here these energy refills, so I like to stock them up in case I need to use them. As you can see, I've got a lot of energy and other stuff stocked up. I need to collect this stuff. This is from CVC the other week. So energy, super important to have, so will you have enough energy? And then another important one is shards. So for me, 206 ancients, 64 voids, 30 sacreds, that's plenty to complete all those summoning events. And then you can also look at fragment summons, I suppose. If you have any fusions, you can have just ways to get those summoning points for champ chases and summon rushes. So you really want to consider that. Also, another thing I should mention is of course the tavern, whether you have brews, because brews are really important for champ training. Not as necessary, because you can always supplement it with energy and vice versa, but it's also nice to have a lot of brews, as it really speeds up the amount of time you have to spend doing champion training, especially with the new improvements that they added with this brew upgrade, which is great. love that. Great quality of life improvement. So I suppose those are the 4/5 resources you really need to keep track of and understand whether you will have enough to complete the fusion, because the last thing you want to do, get halfway through, not have enough shards to complete that summoning event. Thirdly, the final overarching thing I like to consider is, will the champion benefit my account? Because for me, I don't want to spend a lot of resources getting a champion I'm never going to use, because that just doesn't seem effective to me. So a great example of this is the Granite Doorkeep fusion. I had enough resources to go after him. I decided not to because I didn't think he would benefit my account. Firstly, I looked at my faction. My dwarves are pretty stacked in terms of my account and the amount of legendaries I have. So he really wasn't going to be useful for faction wars. Of course, he brings a lot of debuffs, but I can already get through normal faction wars, and I can do, I think, the first level of hard faction wars. So I didn't end up going after him. He was also going to be pretty low priority on my book lists, and I wouldn't use him if he wasn't booked, just because he needs those percentages to go up for those debuff chances. So that just meant he wasn't going to be useful for my account in the short to medium term future. Even though he does bring a pretty unique buff, I decided to skip him and save my resources. This new upcoming fusion, however, will be beneficial for my account, as I don't have any Undead Horde damage dealers, which is a really big kind of issue on my account at the moment. Legendary damage dealers, I should say. So she could really fill that void, and I think she would be really beneficial to my account. She also only costs around 8 books, I think, so she's really light on the books, and for me, she's super cool. So I think she will benefit my account, hence I will be going for her. Then there's also a bunch of other reasons which I think I always take into consideration when deciding on whether I go for the fusion. So those top 3 reasons are kind of considering whether you will actually be able to complete the fusion and whether they will be useful. And then you've kind of got these supplementary things I like to go through in my mind. So the first one I like to go through is FOMO. Will I be annoyed if I don't go for this champion? Will I be sad if I see other people using this champion? Will I just be a bit frustrated that I decided not to go? Will I have that fear of missing out on not having this champion? And this kind of ties into limited time champions, which is what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are. So if I didn't go for April, for example, April is someone I'm completing at the moment. She might not be useful for my account. I don't think I'm going to use her, but I will probably have FOMO if I don't get her, and she's limited time. So I think I would like to get her, hence I'm doing her Titan event, even if she's not great for my account and I don't think I will use her. It also keeps open my options of being able to get that mythical relic if I get Shredder, and that would be pretty cool. So that's a reason why you might decide to go for a champion, even if they might not be initially beneficial to your account. Another big one I think that impacts on a lot of people is the idea that you need to collect all the champions in the game. And this is a big thing for me. I do like collecting all, I like competing in all events that I can, but for me it's unrealistic. I'm free to play, it's just not going to be possible for me to do every event in the game. So that's something I like to take out. But if you spend a lot of money, if you like collecting them all, then maybe that's something you like to consider going forward on whether you're going to complete a fusion, because a fusion gives you a guaranteed opportunity to get that champion, and you might never pull that champion again. So this is just a guaranteed way to secure it and not bring in luck into the equation. Something that isn't big for me but might be big for other people is the character design and whether they look cool, because I know April does not look cool, but that's kind of balanced out by the fact she's limited edition, so that's why I will be going for a limited time. But if a champion's not cool, you're really not as keen on going for them, because it's nice to have a great design looking champion, which I think this upcoming fusion is. She looks really cool and someone I would love to have on my account. A final one that I think is also important to consider is if there are any future events coming up that you might want to complete. And this is really relevant considering we've had this rumored Leo event, and Leo is an incredibly strong champion. So you've got to consider if doing a fusion will affect your ability to complete that event in the future. So that's another reason I didn't go for Granite, because I wanted to be able to go for Leo Soul and Leo. And I didn't think that by doing the Granite Doorkeep fusion, I would have enough resources left to also get Leo Soul. So I decided that the Soul for Leo would be more important than me having Granite, and hence I decided that I wouldn't be going for him. So looking into the future, I know Raid doesn't really give us many opportunities, but thinking about things that could be coming up that you would prefer to have those resources for instead, I think is really important. And finally, of course, I couldn't go past annoying the content creators. Of course, everyone likes to get a second opinion, so leaving comments, asking if people think you should go for the fusion, listening to other people's opinions. I think it's really important to watch content creators' videos because they probably understand a lot more about the game than you do. I'm not saying me, by the way. I'm saying all the other content creators definitely understand a lot more about the game than you do, so I think it's important to get their opinions. And then, why don't ask your clanmates? They're always there to chat. I always rely on asking my clanmates about whether they think I should go for a fusion or not. They really helped me decide not to go for the Granite Doorkeep fusion. And I always like to ask our clan leader to put up a poll just to see what everyone's thinking, see who's going for the fusion, see who's not, and that can really help you gauge on whether you think they will be beneficial at all. So those are the 3 main deciding factors I use, plus a bunch of supplementary ones that help me decide whether I'm going for a fusion or not. Again, I think it's really relevant with this current fusion being announced, the Halloween fusion, Leo's offense still not being announced, and possibly in the near future around the same time as this fusion. So I thought it was very relevant, and of course I just didn't want to contribute to all the analysis of the new Champions kit. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below how you decide if you're going to go for a fusion and if you think you will be going for this new Halloween fusion. But thank you so much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.